Since Windows Server 2016, the method and UI for configuring a domain controller have remained largely the same. However, new engineers typically prefer to configure using the latest version. They might assume that different version numbers mean different configuration steps, so I decided to upload the same content using the 2025 version as well. Please refer to my previous posts or videos for instructions on installing Windows Server 2025 and Sysprep. For the VM specifications, I've allocated 4 cores for the CPU and 4 GB of RAM. In the past, 2 GB used to be sufficient, but it seems inadequate for modern requirements. Before watching the video, please remember to subscribe and like. Local server. Click on computer name. Change. Change the name to something that clearly identifies it as a domain controller. The system will reboot. Local server, Ethernet. Right-click on the network adapter, select Properties. Select IPv4. Enter the IP address according to your environment. Set the DNS to point to the IP address of the domain controller itself. Dashboard. Add roles and features. Next. Check Active Directory Domain Services. Continue by clicking Next. Install. Promote domain controller. Add a new forest. Enter the domain you want to use. Personally, I prefer adding corp at the beginning of the domain name. Create the DSRM password, click Next. Continue by clicking Next. Install. Click Close, and the system will reboot shortly after. Log in using the domain account as shown on the screen. Run Active Directory users and computers. Right-click on the domain, select New, click Organizational Unit. Create an organizational unit for service accounts. Right-click on the newly created OU, select New, click User. Create an admin account for use on the DC, as shown on the screen. Before creating the user, you need to add a domain without corp as a UPN suffix. Active Directory Domains and Trusts. Right-click on Active Directory Domains and Trusts, select Properties. Add the desired domain. Create the service account. Right-click on the account, select Properties. Go to the Member of tab, click Add, search for and add the permissions as shown on the screen. After signing out, verify that you can log in using the newly created service account. Let's proceed with the installation process for the second domain controller. As before, change the computer name. Proceed with configuring the network settings. Set the DNS of the network adapter to point to the main DC. Click on Workgroup. Select and enter the domain to join the server to the domain. Enter the service account that was previously created. Proceed with the installation of Active Directory domain services roles in the same manner as done on the main DC. Unlike before, select Add a domain controller to an existing domain and proceed with the configuration. For the second DC, update the DNS settings so that the primary DNS points to itself. The domain controller installation process has been completed. If you found this helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment.